Those disciples on the road to Emmaus were not experiencing one of their better days, were they? What Jesus' first question to them is about how sad they seem. What are you talking about when you look so sad? And they did look sad because they had all their hopes, and even though by that time it was after Easter, this business about Jesus really being alive was this really difficult to credit story that, a few women had come back with this story, and Lord knows, how can you trust what women say, right? And so, one biblical scholar says that in Luke, when it's talking about what the women said when they came back to the disciples, they call it an idle tale. And he points out that the Greek word there, is really the root word for delirious. And what they were saying was not that it was an idle tale, but they were freaking out of their minds. It was crazy. And Peter went, and sure enough, there was no Jesus. But they were starting to kind of hear things. And even though Jesus tried and tried to prepare them for what was going to happen, he tried and tried to tell them, but it didn't sound good. It didn't sound good at all. So they were having none of it. And now they were devastated because Jesus seemed to be gone, and all they had to hang on to was this crazy half-baked story. Who's going to believe that anyway? And so sadly, these two guys are thinking, let's just get out of Dodge. Let's go back home. And Emmaus was about 7.5 miles from Jerusalem, we're told. And so if fast walking is about 4 miles an hour, it had to have taken them at least 2 hours to get to Emmaus, and maybe longer if we credit that they were sad, talking along the way, waiting a minute for Jesus to catch up and talk with them, not knowing it was Jesus. And it had to have been a long walk because Scripture says that Jesus opened up all the Scriptures about himself, all of the prophets, and we know there's 17 prophets in the Old Testament. The major prophets, those are the really big books, the minor prophets, 17. That's a lot of connections he was able to make on that walk. So it had to take a long time. And at the time, they weren't listening, they were kind of taking it in, but it was only looking back that they were able to say that their hearts were strangely warmed when Jesus started to open the Scriptures. At the time, if their hearts were kind of warmed, burning within them, I was only looking back that they understood that. How many of us have had experiences of God with us that we really understood best looking back? My mother, when she was in her 80s, would always say, I wish when I was younger, I knew as much as I knew now. I would never have worried, because all the things I worried myself sick about have had a way, even though sometimes they were very painful and hard. They had a way of weaving together and developing into something that was beautiful to behold, and strengthening not just for me, but for my family. So looking back, those guys on their walk to Emmaus could see what was happening in the Scriptures. Sometimes what we read in the Bible takes more than one read, or someone else to open it up to us in a new way. And praise God for those opportunities. We've really been able to sit in prayer with Jesus and think, what the heck does this mean? And be able to understand Scripture in a new, more deeply rooted way. But still they weren't recognizing Jesus. Even with all that great biblical talk and scholarship, they weren't quite getting it that was Jesus. And remember when they knew it? When they first knew it? When Jesus was sitting at the table with them and he broke the bread. It was in that breaking of the bread that they recognized Jesus. And that's so important for the early church and for us today. Because what happens when we break the bread is every time we do that as the gathered body of Christ, and there only needs to be just 2 or 3 of us, or a church full on Sunday morning, or half a church full when our snowbirds have left us. But when we break the bread, we are able to be invited into the presence of Christ in a way that if we keep the eyes of our hearts open, we are going to see and know and touch and feel. And we have to know that when those disciples finally saw Jesus, it made a huge difference. Because remember what happened right after that? They had Jesus come stay with them. Remember why they asked him? Because, it had been a heck of a walk, a long day. It was starting to get dark. It wasn't safe in those days to be traveling at night. They needed to get off the road where there were robbers and all kinds of terrible things happening at night. So they invited Jesus, insisted in fact, that he not continue traveling, come into their homes. Well, as soon as they get it, that that's really Jesus, and Jesus somehow, we don't even know how, he just disappeared? What's up with that? Except Jesus is God, so I guess. Sometimes with our little ones, like Aaliyah the other week, remember? We turned around, she wasn't there, so I don't know. Anybody can do it, I think. But Jesus, when Jesus was gone, those 2 disciples, what did they do? They immediately ran back to Jerusalem. Another 7.5 miles at night when it's dangerous, where they were so sad and confused before. But now, they're not even stopping to think, well, it's been a heck of a day, let's sleep on it, let's go back later, too dangerous to travel. None of that. They have new energy, they have new courage, they have new purpose, and they know they have to share with other people. How might the world change if today, in the breaking of the bread, we allow ourselves into that presence to which we're always invited in such a way that we have to race over to community hall and break bread again with one another in a way that celebrates what we know now about Jesus, in a way that forces us, just compels us to share. And what about when we leave this place and all those safe folks that we know here, and we bump into our neighbor? What then? How might we be compelled not just to tell wild tales, but to tell our freaking crazy story about how Jesus has made a difference in our life right now? How when we were in a car accident, there was help when we needed help, a calming voice, someone to provide a healing opportunity, and the whole faith community to hold sacred that healing time. What might it be like if we dared to share our stories in a way that strengthened all of God's people? Last night, when we saw that movie, Call Me Malcolm, that was so important because for me it was someone's story who was very different from mine. It was a person who grew up, who was born in a girl's body, but never felt like he was a girl, just didn't, even though his parents called him Miriam, did not feel like that was who he was, but had no words for that, no words at all. And puberty just knocked him flat because his body all the more changed into someone who was unrecognizable to him. And so step by step, God continued, Jesus walking beside him, brought him into a seminary brought him into a UCC church family where there were people who would say, well, I don't really get it, but I'll walk with you, and dared to help him find out who he was, hear his own story. When we were watching that movie last night, a phrase that just touched my heart because it is so true is when he said, trust allows you to become yourself. There's something about becoming fully ourselves that actually compels us to trust. We have to trust God when we're setting out into the unknown, into uncharted territory. And I look around and I know, I could say pretty much all of us here have walked through times that maybe hurt so badly, confused us, set us back, or thought, well, my parents aren't going to like this. There's any number of things that we have walked through where we had to trust, where we had to A, trust God, and B, trust some people right beside us. And in Malcolm's UCC community, he found a pastor he could trust. He found friends for the journey, and he was allowed to grow into his own true self. And another thing that struck some of us so powerfully was that he said for him, puberty really began when he was 21. Because when he was 21 was the moment he decided he would live. And what he carried until he was 21, there was such dissonance between what his body and other people were telling him he was and who he knew himself to be, such painful dissonance that really his fallback plan, the way he thought he could cope, was to promise himself he could get out of here whenever he wanted to. And he really thought he wouldn't live. That was the best plan he could come up with, was that he would have permission to get out of Dodge. And it was through that church, through the seminary, through his own wrestling with Scripture, that he came to realize what the pastor in Linda's book realized. Right there in the brambles, helping pull out the thorns and just unentangle him from those things that were hurting and crushing him, things that were not him. That was Jesus. That was Jesus right with him. And he became a UCC pastor. He married a wonderful woman, and together they're raising a family. God has a whole life for us if we dare to let go of what? Those fears that entangle us, those pressures, those lies about what the Bible says as opposed to what the Bible actually says. If we dare not to wrestle with one another in Scripture, and what if we do? What if we do on our own walk to Emmaus? Have someone who will actually listen, who actually says, whoa, you look sad. What's going on for you right now? Why do you look sad? And will dare to listen, will dare maybe gently to share what they understand of Scripture. The best walking beside someone is often just keeping your mouth shut and listening. But what if we dare to do that and then go that step forward of inviting other people into our homes to break bread, inviting other people into our church to break bread, and by God, see Jesus. Amen.